7. Early warning signs. How miscommunication announces itself long before it becomes visible. Most communication breakdowns do not arrive without notice. They announce themselves quietly, through changes that feel too small to challenge and too ambiguous to confront. By the time misalignment becomes obvious, these early signals have usually been present for some time, layered one on top of another until the conversation can no longer support the weight placed upon it. Professionals often describe breakdowns as sudden because the moment of failure is clear, while the lead-up is not. Yet when conversations are examined closely, patterns emerge. The same signals appear repeatedly across industries, cultures, and languages. They are not dramatic, but they are remarkably consistent. Learning to recognize these early warning signs is one of the most effective ways to prevent miscommunication from escalating into conflict, delay, or loss of trust. Behavior changes before clarity disappears. The earliest indicators of breakdown are behavioral rather than verbal. Clients do not typically announce confusion or misalignment. Instead, behavior begins to shift in subtle but measurable ways. Response times change. Engagement fluctuates. Messages become shorter, less specific, or more carefully worded. Questions that were once asked freely begin to disappear. Agreement sounds present, but lacks the confidence or momentum it once had. These shifts often occur while the content of communication still appears intact. Words remain polite. Meetings remain cordial. Yet something has changed in how the conversation is being carried. Ignoring these changes is easy, particularly when workloads are heavy and progress appears to be continuing. In reality, they are often the first signs that communication is under strain. Precision gives way to safety. One of the most reliable warning signs is a gradual loss of precision. Language becomes less exact. Commitments are framed more loosely. Scope is discussed in general terms rather than specifics. This is rarely accidental. When pressure increases, people prioritize safety over precision. Exact language creates exposure. Vague language preserves flexibility. In multilingual or hierarchical contexts, this trade-off becomes even more pronounced. Clients may choose words that feel defensible rather than accurate, particularly when outcomes are uncertain. When this pattern appears repeatedly, it signals that clarity is becoming costly. Questions disappear. Another early indicator is the absence of questions. Professionals often interpret silence as understanding or agreement. In global client work, this assumption is risky. Questions disappear when asking them feels unsafe. This may be due to language confidence, fear of appearing unprepared, concern about hierarchy, or emotional pressure. In these moments, clients often choose to proceed on assumption rather than seek clarification. The absence of questions is not a sign that alignment has been achieved. It is often a sign that uncertainty is being managed privately rather than addressed openly. Agreement becomes provisional. As misalignment grows, agreement begins to lose its solidity. Clients may confirm direction verbally while hesitating in action. Decisions are agreed in principle but revisited later. Commitments are made with qualifying language or softened timelines. This provisional agreement allows the conversation to continue without forcing premature commitment. From the outside, it can feel frustrating or inconsistent. From within the client system, it is a way of maintaining momentum while managing unresolved constraints. Repeated provisional agreement is a strong indicator that alignment has not yet stabilized. Tone shifts without explanation. Tone often changes before content does. Messages may become more formal, more cautious, or unexpectedly abrupt. Emotional warmth may cool, or urgency may spike without clear cause. These shifts are rarely intentional. They reflect changes in emotional load, risk perception, or internal pressure. Because tone is subjective, it is easy to dismiss these signals as personal interpretation. Over time, however, consistent tone shifts often point to real changes in how the conversation is being experienced. Professionals who learn to notice tone as data rather than emotion gain valuable early insight. Responsibility becomes blurred. As pressure increases, responsibility may begin to diffuse. Decisions are deferred. Ownership becomes unclear. Clients refer to unnamed stakeholders or processes. Action stalls while alignment is sought elsewhere. This blurring is not always a sign of avoidance. It often reflects genuine constraints within the client's system. However, when responsibility repeatedly shifts without being resolved, it signals that the conversation is carrying more complexity than it can currently support. Left unaddressed, this pattern leads to frustration and delay. Why early signs are often ignored. Early warning signs are frequently ignored because they are ambiguous. Each signal, taken alone, can be explained away. Together, they form a pattern that is easy to recognize in hindsight and difficult to act on in real time. There is also a cultural expectation in many professional environments to remain optimistic, cooperative, and forward-moving. Pausing to examine subtle misalignment can feel uncomfortable or unnecessary. As a result, conversations continue until the cost of ignoring the signs becomes unavoidable. Recognizing patterns without escalating pressure. The goal of recognizing early warning signs is not to confront or correct prematurely. It is to adjust conditions before miscommunication hardens. Effective professionals do not react to individual signals in isolation. They notice patterns and respond proportionately. This may involve slowing the conversation slightly, checking alignment indirectly, adjusting language, or creating space for clarification without demanding it. Small interventions at this stage are often sufficient to stabilize meaning. From intuition to skill. Many experienced professionals sense these warning signs intuitively. They feel when a conversation is beginning to drift, even if they cannot immediately articulate why. What distinguishes effective communication leadership is the ability to recognize these signals consciously and respond deliberately. This chapter provides the foundation for that skill. The chapters that follow build on it, showing how to stabilize meaning early, protect dignity while restoring clarity, and avoid escalation when pressure increases. When early warning signs are recognized and addressed, miscommunication rarely progresses to breakdown. It simply loses momentum and resolves quietly, often without either party ever realizing how close it came to derailing.